Yes.
Okay, thank you, Michelle, for this opportunity. Good evening. My name is Clifton Edwards, and I am the founder of Greenway Guardians, whose mission is to persuade Duke Energy not to compromise the cross-Florida Greenway. For more information on me, I'd invite you to visit my website, www.pathscrossed.info. In case you haven't heard, Duke Energy is considering putting tall steel towers connected by high voltage electrical lines in the Greenway. In a world of diminishing green space, this cannot be good for the quality of life of Greenway visitors, our community, and the native creatures and plants that live there, some of which are threatened and endangered. You should also know that Duke Energy is considering other routes that are existing utility and transportation corridors. The Greenway Guardians, a grassroots group, believe this is where future electrical needs can be responsibly met, not by exploiting a resource that cannot be replaced. So why would Duke Energy threaten such a precious resource? Most likely, it is the cheapest route, best serving their stockholders. If you're not familiar with the Cross Florida Greenway, it's a 110-mile long linear park, about a mile wide, and was the first in the country to have a land bridge across an expressway to serve people and wildlife. It is not Disney World, but it is the real Florida, known far and wide and a boon to the economy. In 2021, it was said to annually have 1.5 million visitors and an economic impact of exceeding $100 million. The Greenway Guardians is newly formed and has no funding. In contrast, Duke Energy is very experienced in selling its goals, or as some say, pulling the wool over the eyes of the masses, and has deep pockets to do so. It appears regulations required Duke Energy to notify residents who would be within 500 feet of these high voltage electrical lines and provide them an informational open house. There, empathetic listening and glad handing prevailed, and attendees were encouraged to submit comment forms for Duke to consider. Having first notified residents in September of 2023, Duke Energy somehow set a November 17th, 2023 deadline for public comment, which has been extended now to November 30th because of a misstep by Duke Energy. This leaves little time to form a formidable Greenway defense. Additionally, Duke has made no effort to notify the Greenway's largest stakeholders, the visitor. 5 hours of pulling visitors at two trailheads, that being Lamb Bridge and 49th Avenue, did not yield one visitor who was aware of Duke's proposed plan. A suggestion to Duke to place an informational sign with a QR code at trailheads has been denied. 7 reasons the Greenway Guardians are opposed to compromising the Greenway follow. Number 1, green space is a valued commodity for any community, and the Greenway is part of what makes Marion County such a desirable place to live and visit. While you may or may not know about the Greenway, it is known by many. This is substantiated by it being the most visited state park in Florida. Visitors include old to young, white, Black, and brown people, cyclists, hikers, runners, backpackers, campers, birders, equestrians, dog walkers, and families with their children in strollers. Solid evidence that it serves the greater good. Number two, the habitat of the Greenway has enabled wildlife biologists to increase the numbers of the scrub jay. I don't need to tell you folks, an endangered bird native only to Florida, in the Greenway from 8 in 2008 to 161 in 2023. Number three, gopher tortoises, a threatened species that enjoys little real protection because they like to build their homes where people do. So the Greenway is a sanctuary for them. You may be told they like making their burrow homes in the barren sand beneath the proposed electrical line, but you should also know they will have a difficult time foraging because the herbicides used for vegetation control will eliminate their food source. Number four, while many despise snakes, if you learned about the indigo, which is federally designated as threatened, you might think otherwise. This non-venomous snake is very shy, has somewhat of a symbiotic relationship with the gopher tortoise, and also inhabits the Greenway. Number five, you might find it interesting that currently in Florida, the government is funding a north-south wildlife corridor known as O2O. The Cross Florida Greenway is an existing 110-mile long east-west wildlife corridor that the proposed high voltage electrical lines would impede. Number six, also, the Greenway currently serves as a safe haven for 3 native, threatened, and endangered plant species: robin's mint, Britton's blue beargrass, and 3-bird's orchid. The proposed electrical lines would disrupt this protected area. Number seven, disturbing reports of Duke Energy's environmental stewardship does cause concern. Greenway Guardians accept that increasing population increases electricity demands, but increasing population also increases pressure on existing green space, an important component of a desirable community. In that the Greenway is state land, if Duke decides to pursue compromising the Greenway, they will apply for an easement permit to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. There, a 10-person committee known as ARC, which stands for Acquisition and Restoration Council, mostly folks appointed by the governor, will make a recommendation to the governor whether to approve or deny. What can you do to help protect the Greenway from this exploitation? Mr. Charles Lee, a longtime advocate for the Audubon Society, advised me to gain publicity and write letters to relevant elected officials. In this case, that would be the governor and your senator and representative. If you are interested in following this campaign to protect the Cross Florida Greenway, and you do Facebook, I invite you to search Greenway Guardians and join our group. I know Duke is watching, and there is strength in numbers. In closing, a past park manager of the Greenway is remembered as saying the Cross Florida Greenway will be to Marion County as Central Park, which was created in 1858, is to New York City. May we be so far-sighted. Thank you for your time and attention. I welcome your questions and comments.
Cliff, how wide of a section are they going to clear underneath those power lines?
Good question. The route that they have proposed that would compromise the Greenway runs from State Route 484 to I-75. This is a map. Tell me if you can, probably can't see it very well, that Duke Energy has provided. Can you see that at all, Michelle? Should I continue with the
Yes.
on that map? You see the green swath going from left to right. That is the Greenway. On that map, you see purple lines and some purple lines with blue lines. Those are the proposed routes of Duke Energy. Now, they only need one of those. So you take it from Ross Prairie Substation, which is in the southern part of the county, not far off, to Shawson, which is located here, I-200. So you see the different routes, but it's this section here between 484 and I-75 in which they are not crossing the Green, but they are running in it for several miles. Did that answer your question, Michelle?
And then how wide of a, so it's going to go that long, but then how wide, what do they have to mow? What do they have to knock down underneath the wires?
They would clear cut 100 feet footprint. And then in the center of that, they would place these mono steel poles that range in height from 90 to 110 feet.
Okay. Yeah, that answers my question. Thank you.
Clifton, this is Barbara Schwartz. I have my video is on. Here we go. Off. Oh, the host stopped it. Okay. My question is, have you communicated with the Florida Trail Association? A lot of their trails intersect with that area, and they always in January do a hike across Marion County that involves a lot of that area. Have you been in touch with them?
What was the name of the organization?
Florida Trail Association.
Our Trail Association?
Florida Trail Association.
Actually, I'm a
FTN.
volunteer on the Florida Trail. Every Thursday, I meet with my colleagues and we maintain the trail between Denellen and Silver Spring State Park.
Yeah.
But you're saying there's another association called Florida Trail Association?
Yes, yes.
I have not. I do, and recently posted on the Florida Trail group site, and I'm not sure if that's one and the same or not, concerning that. But if you have a contact person and name and number, I welcome the opportunity to reach out to them. We have left voicemails and emails with several organizations, be them cyclists, equestrians, or trail hikers, and seldom get a response.
I'll try to find out. They're on Meetup as the Sandhill chapter of the Florida Trail Association. The one that is local is the Sandhill chapter. So I'll try to find out and get you a contact person.
That would be wonderful. I welcome that invite.
We need his contact information.
Yeah. So we'll can we get your email address?
Yes, you may. Cliff with one F, that's CLIF, _ L _ Edwards, EDWARDS, at yahoo.com.
Okay, great. That would be one good group to talk to. And what about the Greenways and Trails office that's over there right near Marshall Swamp? Have you
Yes, so that is state employees there. Just last Saturday, I face-to-face with the park manager, Mickey, and we've been emailing this week on some different initiatives. of course, they are our state employees and need to work within those parameters in doing their work.
And there's a section, actually a section of the Florida Trail that runs right through the baseline trailhead there. It's a wonderful, wonderful trail.
Yes, I'll be there at 7:30 Thursday morning, meeting with Mark's Mowing Marauders. That's what I've nicknamed our group that maintains the Florida Trail between Silver Springs State Park and Denellen. And we'll be doing that section of trail.
Yeah, when I was hiking there last week, and the goldenrod were up to my earlobes. It was great. It was beautiful.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Again, go ahead.
Kent had a good question. He said, do we have information on how the power lines that cross the Greenway at Baseline Trailhead Park have impacted the birds?
I do not. Now, when I was over there last Thursday, now that I've become involved in this campaign, those utility poles I'm seeing all the time. I never used to see them, but so when I was over there, I saw those. But it looked like that they were mostly they were in the Baseline Trailhead, but they were mostly paralleling. Is that State Route 35 going north and south? Am I wrong?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it appeared to me that they are big and I don't want to use the word majestic there at the trailhead, but they appeared to mostly be paralleling an established transportation and utility corridor. Now, how they're impacting the birds there, I don't know. It has been shared with me that because if that transmission line, which is a 230 kilovolt line, is placed in the Greenway, it will inhibit the ability to do controlled burns, which is an important component to nature's process, and as I understand it, the scrub jay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the scrub jays are dependent on the burns. If you don't have burns, the scrub jays will end up leaving or dying off.
Yeah, that is a concern that has been shared with me by the Cross Florida Greenway employees, specific Mickey Thomason and Laura Dolan.
Okay. Another interesting point is I was just looking up how many different species rely on the gopher tortoise burrows, and it's 350 different species that use gopher tortoise burrows. It's considered a cornerstone species because of that. So it's a big deal if those are impacted, and it's a threatened species, federally threatened anyway. So it's a big deal to disturb the gopher tortoises and their burrows.
Yes, in researching that, I learned that the gopher tortoise is no longer federally considered threatened in Florida, much to the dismay of the division or biological diversity organization. I've learned that the remedy for it and the indigo snake is that they get moved to a new location. Now, I see that having some application when developments occur on private property, they get moved to public land. But I would argue that both those threatened species, again, the gopher tortoise only by Florida standards and the indigo snake by federal standards, are on public land. So where do we move them to allow this to happen? I make a bit of a joke between that symbiotic relationship of the gopher tortoise and the indigo snake, because the indigo snake will take refuge in those gopher tortoise burrows. And I guess they call that a reptile bread and breakfast. Okay, I got a smile. All right.
Do we
Any
have
other-
any other questions?
If there are none, again, I would reiterate, I welcome you to join our Facebook group, Greenway Guardians. And I encourage you to write your governor, your state rep, and your state senator expressing your concern for compromising this most precious asset we have here.
And one other avenue is Duke is accepting comments from the public until, when is that? The 17th?
Yeah, it actually got extended, a bit of a misstep on their part, their third one. But we've been working in good faith with Duke Energy, and I had interacted with them, and they told me they had only received 300 comment forms, which I found unbelievably low. And I said, well, if you can send me comment forms when I do my presentations, and Michelle, you were at that
Mhm.
presentation in Oak Run, we will circulate your comment forms. And they sent me forms to circulate, which, as you know, I did. Well, lo and behold, they didn't have a deliverable address. The mailing address on the bottom of the form was undeliverable. So it came to my attention that people that were sending them in, that they were coming back to them. So I brought that to Duke's attention, and they were very apologetic and agreed to extend the comment period to November 30th. So if you don't have a paper comment form available to you, if you do Google Duke Energy, Ross Perry to Shaw, that webpage will come up. And if you thumb through that, you will find the comment form that you can submit online. What is a bit concerning is that those comment forms are in the care and custody of Duke Energy. So they can determine what's kept and not kept and interpret what they say. There is no check and balance system for that. Nevertheless, I encourage people to submit them.
All right. Well, Cliff, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. And yes, I encourage people to go to the Greenway Guardians Facebook page, and you can get updates there regularly. And yeah, we will continue following this situation.
All right,
Thank you,
Michelle,
Cliff.
thank you so much for this opportunity. Good night, folks.
All right. Good night.